Someone asked me if I believe in OSAS, once saved, always saved. Of course, once saved by God, always saved by God. How one can be saved? Simply by believing on Christ. As it is written in John 6:40, the will of God is to believe on Christ. But many false converts put forth their own will to believe, thinking they are saved, therefore always saved. There is a difference between believing on Christ as the will of God and you saying that you believe as the will of yourself. Anyone can just say he believes, therefore saved. In a way, it is like the ultimate work salvation because he is the one saving himself. If he declares he is saved because he says so, he is saving himself per his self-righteousness, like that wicked servant doing his will as if it's the will of his master. If he is saved because he says so, then what's the difference between him and John Doe, who says the same yet not saved? Are those who said, Lord, Lord, saved? Certainly not. Ever since the Garden of Eden, ever since Adam and Eve were beguiled, it always been the battle between the will of God and the will of one's self-righteousness. However, nowadays there are just too many saving themselves, yet Christ will later say to them, he never knew them. Christ said to the self-righteous one who thinks he can save himself for doing his will, his self-righteousness, not according to the will of God. He never knew him. Once you believe, you just believe, which is not any work. It's just like when you are born, it is not any work to believe your father is your father. But as I have given you the example of the wicked servant who did his will thinking it's the will of his master, he was saving himself by believing however he wanted and rendering himself saved, which is the ultimate work salvation. Self-righteousness is the ultimate work salvation. There is a difference between seeing the Son of God and seeing oneself. One is for the will of God, while the other is for the will of oneself. Someone asked me if, in fact, once you become a son of God, yet if you sin more, then what happens? And simply put, though you are made whole, you will be chastened by a worse thing. Once one is born of the Spirit, it is quite obvious and natural to have the fruit of the Spirit. And if you have no fruit at all, you are either still a babe or not born again in the first place. The evidence of one being born of the Spirit is, number one, having the gift of the Spirit. And number two would be having the fruit of the Spirit. The gift you get when you are born again, while the fruit you get during the discipleship, while you walk the faith in Christ. This is also why Christ said, you shall know them by their fruit. And certainly false ones can never yield any good, but evil. Some may ask, isn't it work salvation? No, it's not, because having fruit is not to get saved, but after one is saved. God never fails, so if one says he is born again yet no fruit, he is either a babe or not born of the Spirit in the first place. Furthermore, if he doesn't have any fruit for a long time, even after he is supposedly born of the Spirit, while displaying bad fruit continually, he is just a tinkling cymbal. This is why sometimes I like to put some, so to say, crap on some and see what happens. Even after dunging such a person, if he doesn't bear any good fruit, Christ will cut him down.